I just want to let everybody know you need to brace yourself because even in the ad break we've had to we've had to shove these two apart like they're at a weigh-in at a fight.
Bring it.
And this is why.
No pun intended.
There are calls this morning to ban junk food from schools and sporting venues under a new plan to combat Australia's increasing obesity crisis.
Let's get today's take on this with Nine's Ross Greenwood and Shelley Horton from ShellShocked Media. Round one. Ding ding.
Ding,
Oscar
ding.
to you.
All right.
Okay, the introduction of a sugar tax.
Yeah.
What I can smell where you are already, but I want to know, can it work, or do you think it could work?
The answer is yeah, of course it could work.
Right.
And the reason for it is because these are called social taxes. And social taxes are a way in which you change your tax system to change a person's behaviour. And so as a result, the classic of that is smoking. You actually make the cigarettes so expensive that basically you send the poor people broke who smoke. Right? That's the idea. So the idea here is now that we go, OK, smoking's bad and we've changed people's behaviour there, so now let's move on to sugar. Yeah. Now, basically what Australia is doing here is copying the UK. The UK has actually
and
put
many
in
other countries.
Well, the UK is the prime one that we're copying. And they last year introduced a sugar tax, which basically is on sugary drinks, right?
Sure.
And so as a result, let's say, for example, your standard can of Coke, 375 mils, goes up in price by around about 12%. OK, so therefore, as a result, what you do is those people who drink those drinks suddenly pay an extra tax. Now, does that curb their behaviour? Maybe. Or does it simply mean that you actually tax the poor people more money?
Yes.
What about the fact that we need to raise that money because in Australia, our obesity crisis is actually costing us $56 billion a year, and every single day, 280 people are being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. That is a massive strain on our health system.
Okay.
Now, I kind of think this is sort of like the old mum saying of this is why we can't have nice things. I grew up, we had so much junk food at our school. I don't think I had particularly good habits. I'm now obese. I am struggling to break a lifetime of habits. And the only way that I can do it is have no junk food in the house. So for me to have no junk food in the schools, no junk food at the sporting events, makes sense.
OK, so we're going to get you to pay more tax. That's really the answer. It's not about public education. It's not about
educating
personal
in another way.
It's not about personal responsibility. Well, the consumption of sugary drinks and so forth have come down over the years. They haven't gone up. They've gone down.
The obesity rate's going the opposite direction.
All right, so therefore what's happening is, guess what? We've got a supermarket price where prices have actually dropped for the past 5 years. And yet people continue to say, hang on, my supermarket price hasn't gone down. Guess what that is? People putting more stuff into their baskets, Georgie. We consume more stuff. We're born consumers. So if the stuff's cheap, we pile it in.
The number one consumer item in Australian supermarkets is Coca-Cola. OK, so
offensive.
What do we do then? What do we do? I
So,
mean, this has got to be surely an option.
And the answer is that if you do introduce a sugar tax, do understand that already companies such as Coca-Cola Amatil, OK, and Pepsi are already changing the way in which they do it. They're reducing slowly the amount of sugar. But you can't do it in one hit. This is actually going to take some time to actually have it weaned out. But what you'll find is that you'll have... But do bear in mind, it is also a slippery slope. Where does it go to next?
Well,
is it the fact that you put a fat tax on people in planes? That's coming. Is it a case that suddenly people who, well, we know the people who smoke, but people who do other things?
Oh, yeah, but let's go back to the plane thing. Ethically speaking, you could say that there would be some people that, that have too much weight on them. We all have to, if we're getting that way, should people have to pay more to go on planes?
Well, see, there you go. That's the point. But is that fair? Because they're one person, they're one individual, they might have a weight problem. Is that really fair? That you have a skinny person who's alongside, a bigger person beside? No, come on now.
Well, let Shelley answer that.
Look, I actually feel so emotional about that because that's the issue with obesity. It's an emotional issue, not just a health issue. And I think when it comes to something like the planes, it's really hard because we get charged excess for every kilo that your bag is over, but if a person's 200 kilos versus 60 kilos, they don't get charged any differently. So I can understand it, but I also have a morbidly obese aunt who I know cried the entire way back from London to Australia because she was so uncomfortable and she was really trying to not spill into the next person's space. So when you bring that emotion into it, it kind of changes the argument, and you feel like, you know what, maybe we need to go back to education and tax so that we're not getting to this situation.
And the interesting part is because we were talking about off air, and that's why I warned everybody that we were talking about the nanny state. Here comes the nanny state.
I mean, let's be honest.
And I understand that, but what do we need to do something, because we are looking at like an epidemic of proportions that we do not have the facilities in our government and health system to curb. So we have to do something, and we have to do something just for the children out there.
But do understand there's a whole where is the problem, and let's and I acknowledge the problem absolutely. But there is also this issue where you've got to be very careful where government then tells you what to eat, what to drink, what or not to smoke, whatever you do in your life. That is where you've got a fundamental problem. If all of a sudden government controls your life and you have no freedom to do whatever you do, you have got some other big problems coming in your society.
I think that
but you can
going
also
from
argue
not
that
drinking a can of Coke to telling me what to wear and what haircut to wear, like when North Korea, is a really, really long bow.
Well, if I suddenly say, we don't like, the colour of a person's clothes, we don't like the fact that a person can wear a burqa, for example, in our society. We do right?
It's slipping.
No, but what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but remember, it is about freedom of expression. It is about freedom in our society, and that is one of the great hallmarks
Well,
of
if
our
we had
society.
freedom
What
of
about
education
is
on many
hurting
levels,
yourself?
then maybe we could educate everybody how to do this. But we're going to have to stop. We had other topics, but they're gone because that was so go onto Facebook, go onto Twitter. Roscoe and Shelley, that was a really fascinating take on that. Thank you both so much.
Good insight. Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, Ross. All right, still to come this morning. Hope you're still with us. What to do?